Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on NTA News 24, live from Abuja. I am Stella Inameti. First, the headlines.
People were injured, and the 7 of them were treated there by doctors, and some were moved from there to the National Hospital.
State visit to Brazil. Stakeholders upbeat imminent gains will transform economy. National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu hands over 128 rescued kidnapped victims to their families, urges support for national security efforts. Federal government reports 46% drop in polio variant cases, sets target for 0 by December 2025. Thanks for joining us. Passengers of the derailed train at Ashama en route Abuja Kaduna bound have been successfully rescued by joint efforts of emergency responders. Tessio Mary reports.
This is the arrival of the remaining passengers of the train that derailed around Asham station. From the data we have gotten, thank God no life was lost. 6 persons sustained different degrees of injuries, and of course stakeholders are on ground to make sure that they collect data of every passenger in the train, and of course to make sure that everyone is properly taken care of. For now, we will get stakeholders to comment and to give us more information as to what caused the incident and all of those information.
The train derailed some few minutes after 11 in the morning, and the MD immediately got in touch with the ministry. The Honorable Minister directed that I should go to the site and assess the situation, evaluate and see how I could move the victims out of the place. We got there and there was serious interagency collaboration. The Army were there providing security, the DSS were providing area coverage with helicopter. DG NEMA was on ground personally, and together we coordinated the evacuation. 7 people were injured, and the 7 of them were treated there by doctors, and some were moved from there to the National Hospital with ambulance. Ambulances were made available immediately.
What national hospital?
National Hospital. But they were stabilized before moving them from site, and as I talk to you, none is on admission. So we thank God for His mercy. It was a very mild one.
You're saying no fatality recorded?
No. Just injuries, minor injuries. Yeah.
From South America, key stakeholders have been commending President Bola Tinubu's engagements in Brazil, which have led to signing of bilateral agreements with the host government. Series of talks between leaders of both countries in the last 1 year have resulted in agreements to enhance cooperation in 5 major areas. Speaker, Nigeria's House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, who is part of the Nigerian delegation in Brazil, lauded the president's efforts at improving Nigeria's diplomatic ties with countries of the world.
He is doing extremely well in selling Nigeria to the international world, and you cannot get it wrong, because all the fundamentals that every country needs to actually put in place to attract foreign investments, Nigeria within the last 2 years have been able to attend. So we are a virgin country now, ready to accept investment from all over the world, and Mr. President is doing so well in actually showcasing what Nigeria can offer to the international world and what Nigeria also requires from other countries to support our economy. Mr. President is doing very well. I want to use this opportunity to urge him to continue.
Other members of the team also commended one of the immediate gains of the agreement is the resumption of direct flight between the two countries, with a Nigerian private airline benefiting.
From what we discussed during bilateral meetings, we're looking at over $30 billion investment in the area of agriculture and food security. And of course, something that for me I feel is really, really important is the fact that for the first time, I've seen a country that are willing and ready to open their own opportunities for Nigeria.
The partnership we have now is open skies, direct flight. We all flew here. We had 3 stops, a cumulative 19 to 21 hours. We all know that going back will take us 2.5 to 3 days. Now, that has changed. That's the power of an MOU. There's an understanding, a partnership where there are responsibilities on both sides. There are also benefits. That will improve trade, tourism. Investors will be willing to get on the plane from Lagos to come here. They can go back in another day. That's important.
We cannot start daily flights for now, but we want to start with 3 weekly flights. That's 3 flights a week for the time being. But as we go on, we develop the route and we can increase the frequency.
And still from the South American country, President Bola Tinubu has expressed conviction that his administration's commitment to positive transformation will fortify Nigeria's position at the forefront of African nations for the pride of the citizenry. The president was addressing Nigerians in Brazil as part of his engagements on the margins of the state visit to the South American country. State House correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu is keeping to the tradition, bonding with Nigerians in the diaspora and instilling sense of belonging. Here, representatives of Nigerians in Brazil, they are part of the immediate beneficiaries of a just rejuvenated Nigeria-Brazil relations. Amongst this cross-section are scholars and entrepreneurs making Nigeria proud in Brazil through innovations and volunteerism. And these Brazilians of Nigerian descent are now craving to reunite with their origin. They equally demonstrated retention of their culture. They have varying issues needing government's assistance to ease their stay here. But then they appreciated the president for strengthening bilateral ties with their host presidents and for the reforms preparing a better country for them back home.
The 1 trillion economy, the way we are seeing things, we think it will not even get to 2030 before we achieve this 1 trillion economy.
Now that we're building this relationship with Brazil in different phases, we plead, Your Excellency, that wherever we need it to be a channel between you and Brazil, we are ready to do that.
Members of the President team updated the diasporans on various transformative programs and policies of the government, including the Agricultural Revival Program.
And the Brazilian-Nigerian friendship, which Mr. President has in no small way strengthened within the last 2 years, is going to be something that the world over will be very proud of.
In the last 2 years, Mr. President have made a lot of intervention by all the state governors in Nigeria in terms of ensuring that he gave us fertilizer, he gave us a lot of resources, particularly to invest in agriculture.
A lot is happening in the agri sector, and I can assure you that in the next 2 to 3 years, with all that has been initiated under the leadership of Mr. President, we should be moving from food sufficiency to sovereignty.
Students are no longer going out of school simply on account of the inability of their parents or guardians not to pay for their school fees or for their upkeep. I think this is very, very important. This from north to south, from east to west, nobody, you don't need to know anyone.
Nigeria has changed.
President Tinubu is again proud that the reforms embarked upon by his administration are yielding good results. He expresses commitments with courage and foresight to reinforce Nigeria's leading role and status in Africa.
Look at the technological development of this country. Look at the ability of this nation to achieve food sovereignty. Just imagine. What do they have that we don't have? We have everything. We have the brain. We have the energy. Yes. We have the population. Yes. The youth. To us, we can manufacture. We can develop. We can design. We can build a nation that work purposefully and prosperously for all of us.
The President calls for the support of Nigerians home and abroad to ensure success and sustainability of the government's reforms. In Brasilia, Musbao and Wahab, NT News.
And in other news, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has handed over 128 rescued kidnapped victims to their families. While handing over the victims, the NSA urged Nigerians not to politicize security issues and support ongoing drive to further secure the nation. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
It's a fresh breath of freedom for these kidnapped victims who were rescued at different times this month following joint intelligence and security operations. 128 victims, including children, all from Kauranamoda local government area of Zamfara state. They were held captives in deplorable condition by armed groups.
42 individuals, 14 males, 27 females, and a toddler. The second batch were rescued on the 19th of August, comprising 34 males and 4 females. Among the rescued second batch, lost one of the children due to illness. One of the women that was rescued had a premature birth. The child is presently in an incubator in the medical facility.
Abdullahi Salisu says he was held for 42 days before the rescue operation. The National Security Advisor enjoined Nigerians to support the ongoing efforts to further secure the nation.
These victims were brought to the Office of the National Security Advisor, not only to secure their safety, but also to facilitate their healing process. Let us take politics out of this tragedy. The pain of victims should never be turned into a tool for partisan gain.
So far, the National Security Advisor has publicly handed over more than 283 kidnapped victims to their respective state governments. The rescue of these 128 kidnapped victims, coordinated by the Office of the National Security Advisor, is the second this year. 60 kidnapped victims were earlier rescued in April this year. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. We'll be back with more reports shortly.
Every component is crafted with care, and each design is meticulously tested. From concept to creation, our engineers push the boundaries of technology, seamlessly blending performance and sustainability with a deep commitment to African ingenuity. Introducing the CNG Boss, a remarkable achievement in engineering designed to operate on compressed natural gas, a cleaner and more sustainable fuel alternative. At Innocent Vehicles, we proudly lead the way in creating greener mobility across Africa. And it doesn't stop there. From SUVs to sedans, spacious buses to electric cars, Innocent offers a wide range of models designed to meet every need. Innocent Vehicle, the pride of African roads.
This is NTA News 24.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. And on security, President Bola Tinubu is to officially unveil Nigeria's revised National Counter-Terrorism Strategy in October, following an extensive review process designed to align the nation's security framework with emerging threats. The National Coordinator, National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adamu Garba Laka, announced this at the third quarter stakeholders meeting of NACTEST in Abuja.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to officially launch the revised National Counterterrorism Strategy. This launch will mark the culmination of our collective efforts and the beginning of a new phase in our national counterterrorism expedition.
The revised strategy was enriched through consultations and validation by relevant agencies, local and international partners. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army is gearing up for a digital revolution, sharpening its edge in the cyber battlefield to tackle emerging security threats. With its third annual Chief of Army Staff Data Management Seminar in Abuja, the Army says it is prioritizing effective data management and record keeping as key ammunition in its national security arsenal. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
A study shows that digital record keeping can result in cost savings in printing supplies and in labor. For the Nigerian Army, digital record keeping and data management are crucial in today's digital era. This gathering at the third annual Chief of Army Staff Data Management Seminar is being organized by the Department of Military Secretary.
Though these departments have statutory responsibilities to collect and maintain certain Nigerian Army data and records, data management and record keeping in general is a collective duty which requires the efforts of all corps, formations and establishments.
Keynote speakers say by leveraging technology, the Army can improve data accuracy, accessibility and security, ultimately supporting better decision-making.
It will undoubtedly enrich the participants, also providing the motivation for achieving tasks in the accomplishment of our overarching mission.
The seminar also provides a platform for stakeholders to share best practices, discuss challenges, and explore solutions to enhance data management and record keeping within the Nigerian Army. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
In the meantime, Retired Police Personnel Association from the Southwest are clamoring for the withdrawal of their members from the contributory pension scheme across the country. The agitation was carried out at a meeting with the leadership of the National Pension Commission in Lagos. Musa Toliat has the details.
This octogenarian retired police officer is not happy in retirement, and her reasons are not far-fetched.
I'm a retired assistant commissioner of police, going home every month with 50,000 naira. While my counterpart in the military are taking 800, 700, 650. So the disparity is too much. We are sending them to Mr. President to remove us from that CPS.
Like her, others have several complaints and reasons they want to be disengaged from the contributory pension scheme.
I don't know how I will serve Nigerian police for good 35 years. I'm as superintendent of police, and they will now say 1 million.
It's 30,000 naira they have been paying me. No increment, nothing whatsoever. For the past 18 years now.
Well, guys, the CP, the AIG, the DIG, they are in another scheme. Yes. If they can be in another scheme, what is stopping us from going there?
The large turnout of retired police personnel here gives an indication that previous efforts to address their pension concerns may have failed. Hence, they are coming here to meet with the leadership of the pension regulatory body in the country. The meeting with the leadership of the National Pension Commission serves as an avenue to get first-hand information on federal government's efforts aimed at addressing the plight of the pensioners, especially police retirees.
Under the leadership of this president, he has approved the clearing of all pension liabilities totaling over, or rather 758 billion naira to clear pension liabilities. Part of that includes pension increases, which policemen are entitled to, and you will get by the grace of God this year.
Despite the privileged information released, the police pensioners unanimously presented a position paper.
By September 29, 2025, we are not removed from CPS, then we shall be compelled to proceed on the further of all protests.
The contributory pension scheme was set up by the Pension Reform Act of 2004 to ensure employers and employees jointly contribute to a retirement savings account to make pensions more sustainable. In Lagos, Musa Toliat, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, is confident of transforming and leading the agencies under his watch, including the Voice of Nigeria as a pro-Nigeria and pan-African station dedicated to telling the positive stories coming out of Nigeria and the African continent. The minister reaffirmed this in a message at the flag-off for the restoration of Voice of Nigeria's shortwave transmission using the 250 kilowatt superpower transmitter. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
For some time now, Voice of Nigeria, the authoritative voice, has lost its voice on terrestrial transmission using the shortwave. Years of silence and wait is about to be broken.
There are over 60% of the listeners on radio are on transmitter radio, using transistor radio. Voice of Nigeria want to take the lead. Many of our listeners around Africa are talking to us, please, when will you bring back our transistor? So we are promising them today, but that the grace of God, what is happening here is to give them a space, give them a voice.
Effort to restore the rotating antenna is in line with the new vision to transform the landscape of public broadcasting and make Voice of Nigeria a brand in global radio broadcasting.
The Voice of Nigeria technical team must demonstrate a high level of diligence and competence in supervising the execution of this project, as well as in ensuring its sustainability through an effective maintenance culture.
Positive attention given the public media institution under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is unquantifiable. Every process was followed and the best was taken among those who should do the job. So we want to assure all Nigerians on behalf of management and staff that the process of the revival of Voice of Nigeria 250 kW DRM has just begun.
It's a huge setup that will definitely make every Nigerian proud to have it on air, and will be able to reach out to foreigners, other countries, and Nigerian diaspora, everybody.
Ongoing upgrade of broadcast equipment across agencies under the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation is in line with the administration's vision of modernizing public broadcast infrastructure. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
It's time now for another break. We'll be back with more reports. Stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu has approved a 6-month temporary ban on the export of raw shea nut to curb informal trade and boost local processing. Vice President Kashim Shettima announced the president's directive during a multi-stakeholder meeting at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jubrila reports.
This stakeholders meeting is about industrialization, rural transformation, gender empowerment, and expanding Nigeria's global trade footprint. The ban, which is with immediate effect, is subject to review and expiration and specifically aimed at boosting Nigeria's share value chain to generate an estimated $300 million annually in the short term. And Vice President Kashim Shettima said the decision was not an anti-trade policy, but a pro-value addition policy designed to secure raw materials for processing factories and enabling industries run at full capacity.
That will transform Nigeria from an exporter of raw shea nuts to a global supplier of refined shea butter, oil, and other derivatives. So this is a welcome development, and I want to highlight the gender because women are responsible for 90% of the pickers. By protecting the shea industry, we are protecting livelihoods, dignity, and opportunity for millions of our women. So luckily, this is a collective decision involving the subnationals and the government at the center. And the government is not closing doors, no. We are opening opportunities.
Ghana, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Togo have already imposed restrictions to protect their industries.
So what has happened now is there is an influx of illicit traders coming in to buy from Nigeria because our market is still open. So with this, what this seeks to do is that it will also encourage the private sector to develop the processing, the value addition of that commodity that has a potential to reach almost from the 6.5 about $9 billion in the next 5 years to 2030. And
the Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit Rapid Assessment, which engaged over 2,000 pickers and 65 processors, confirmed the urgent need for the action, as the informal exports estimated at 90,000 metric tons annually, draining domestic supply. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And now to help us understand what the temporary 6-month ban on the export of raw shea nut really means for the economy, for local processors, and for international share market. We're joined by an economist, Dr. Aliu Ilyas. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you. What do you really make of the president's ban on this shea nut export for 6 months? Would you say it's timely intervention or disruptive policy?
Right. So let me start from the positive note. It's a timely intervention, and it's quite an important one. You recall that Nigeria focus on monetary policy, fiscal policy, and forget about trade policy. So trade policy is one that actually galvanizes that Nigerians can actually benefit, and this is part of it. Because by so doing now, you are going to increase the value chain. You know, you don't just take your raw material and export it across the shore, but you add little value for it so that can equally make more money. It will give room for more employment. It will give room for GDP increment. It will also enhance, Nigerian development, and $1 trillion economy that President Bola Tinubu is actually looking at. But be that as it may, I would have preferred, well, as a Nigerian, that would have just say, we give you 3-month window and we are going to not outright closure, outright ban, because now you have deprived. Some people have calculated income. Trust it's also gender sensitive. Most of our women. So you have deprived them of maybe calculated income of next 3 months that, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Perhaps I'm going to expand my horizon and what have you. So I think that's just, but on a positive and general note, it is a welcome idea.
Okay, now realistically, to stimulate local processing and value addition, Will this be possible within 6 months?
Right, I think it's very, very possible because, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel. Those things are available already. Just for us to tap into it and start, from there. So what we just need to do is that to engage private sector, practitioners to come into it and see the value they can. The machines they use to process all this are available. So you're not going to start, building it right from the source, but you are just getting a ready-made one, then fix it, then now create a window for the exportation of it. So it's a good one. It's not a 6 months is a doable one. Perhaps from look of things now, the body language of the president, there's a political will. Perhaps maybe when he get to when he get to Brazil, you got to see that no, Nigeria perhaps Nigeria is doing about 40% of the whole world, she not. So why are we now taking raw of it out? We need to add value. So I think it's a possible one, and I salute Mr. President for that courage. Okay,
what challenges might smallholder farmers and those in that value chain, be facing with?
Right. So the first challenge now is that like I said, abrupt sudden change in the policy, and that's why we must start having a policy ahead of time, not that you just decide, and that's the first one. And number two is that the capacity building part of it. Now you are telling them that don't bring it raw, add value to it. So you need to go there, train them again on how to add value to it and the processing, the threshold, how they will move it, the collaboration, the partnership. Perhaps government need to pump money now. They don't need to expect money for the next 6 months. You have to increase your investment in that area by training people, showing them what to do, and increase the collaboration, either local or international. So I think government needs to do more. And like I said, the trade-off that they're experiencing now for that 6 months need to be compensated over time.
Okay. So in your view, what support structures like finance, technology, or infrastructure must accompany this ban to make it successful?
Right. So I think the first one is the infrastructure, because there's nothing you can do if there is no enabling infrastructure. Then the second one, like I said, is finance, because it's not easy within 6 months you expect people to get money to have those little processors. The processor might be around 500,000, but be small as may be, these are small scale business people. So you need to come into it and help them in terms of fund. Then in terms of technology, this is where the major training have to come. You have to expose them to those technology that will make the job very well, because you don't expect them to, the normal thing they do is just to pick it and send it out like that. We are now saying go beyond that. So going beyond that simply means there must be technology, no matter how small it is. They need to be trained and exposed to those technologies.
Okay, just before you go, how can Nigeria position itself to compete globally in finished shea butter instead of just exporting raw nuts?
Right. I think the major thing is infrastructure. So government have to look into it and develop an enabling infrastructure that has to do with technology. Infrastructure simply means that creating environment that they can actually operate. Perhaps in every locality, there could be a center, every local government, that now every shea nut must be, dropped here, and processing will now have to take place there. So the first thing is the infrastructure, the second one is the funding, and third one is technology. By and large, please don't undermine those local processor. Don't go and bring people outside the business to come and run it for them. Engage them, train them, and I think we can do more and harness the expected 40% that we're supposed to harness globally.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, for your positive thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And now moving on, the federal government has announced a 46% decline in variant poliovirus cases compared to the same period last year, with a renewed target of achieving 0 cases by December 2025. This was revealed by the Executive Director and CEO of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aino, during the quarterly review meeting of the Northern Traditional Leaders Committee on Primary Healthcare Delivery held in Abuja. Olusheye Adiagbo reports.
The fight against vaccine-preventable diseases in Nigeria goes beyond the viruses themselves. It is also a fight against myths and misinformation. While progress has been made in boosting immunization coverage and other health indicators, traditional leaders from across the north are meeting once again, united in their commitment to reshape the future of healthcare delivery in Nigeria, particularly their region.
As we all know, health is wealth. We know the importance of nutrition and feeding. We would like to call on governments to see how they can also use this forum, this particular group, to reach out to everybody, to see how we can reach out to our people, to have good feeding, to have good nutrition. We are hereby stretching our commitment to continue to do this job for the sake of our people, for the sake of our stability of our country.
We must intensify our efforts, as the last part of the race is usually the toughest. I'm confident that we are approaching the end of our over-a-decade fight against the polio virus.
Nigeria has remained completely free of wild polio virus for more than 8 years now. Unfortunately, over the years, there was a variant type that emerged and started to circulate and took hold over a number of years. The government, in partnership with the communities led by the traditional leaders, has now responded quite aggressively to that, and we are making progress. The number of variant viruses that we isolated in the early part of this year up until last week, from January to last week, when you compare to the same period of last year, we have a 46% reduction. So we are making progress. The goal is to try to get to zero.
Leaders expressed optimism that their voices can serve as trusted bridges, building stronger community confidence and ultimately improving health outcomes across the nation. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Report just reaching us says the Niger Delta Ethnic Nationalities Youth Leaders picket NNPC Limited headquarters in Abuja. As part of ongoing efforts to strengthen healthcare service delivery to the growing population of Jigawa State, the Deputy Governor and Chairman, Committee on Primary Healthcare, Aminu Usman, led a team of key government officials on an inspection tour of primary healthcare facilities in Jahun local government area. The inspection covered Aujara, Gunka and Kale villages, where the team assessed the impact of the fatalities on residents. Mohamed Musa Askira reports.
Records at the health centers show that the Aujara PSC attends to over 800 patients monthly, while both Gunka and Kale PSCs each record about 500 patients monthly. On birth registration, figures show that Aujara PSC registers more than 400 births monthly, while Gunka records between 85 and 92, and Kale about 80 births monthly. Deputy Governor Aminu Usman expressed satisfaction with the performance of the facilities, noting that the state government has made huge investments in the PSC sector. He said the visit was aimed at assessing the impacts of those investments and ensuring that the services reach the people effectively.
We are still trying to see where we have a problem so that we can improve. And wherever there is a problem, for sure, we want you people, more especially the press or the public or the citizen, to come out and tell us that there is a problem in so place. We are ready to take care of whatever problem comes.
Jigawa State stakeholders said has already achieved the Abuja Declaration target of establishing at least one PSC in each of the 287 political wards of the state. This has guaranteed wider access to healthcare services. In addition, the state has last year enrolled 45,000 vulnerable people for free medical services alongside free medical care for pregnant women, children under 5 and accident victims as preparation for another 45,000 set of vulnerable people for free medical care is on top gear. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Similarly, patients with health challenges needing oxygen to stay alive and caregivers will worry no more following the inauguration of pressure swing adsorption PSA plants in the 3 senatorial districts of Bayelsa State. The life-saving medical oxygen plant is a partnership between the federal and Bayelsa State governments with global funds. Ibinimi Zitimiola has the details.
Pressure swing adsorption PSA plants are vital for the health sector as they produce on-site medical-grade oxygen for patients suffering respiratory illnesses, trauma, heart disease, and for those needing emergency care. Despite the all-important life-saving function of medical oxygen, it is largely unavailable in public healthcare facilities in Bayelsa State, leading to the loss of lives, especially of indigent patients and rural dwellers.
We went as far as to Port Harcourt, even sometimes to Abia State, to get oxygen. And this has cut short the life of certain patients that will have survived.
With the inauguration of the pressure swing adsorption PSA plants in the general hospitals of Sagbama and Brass, as well as the Federal Medical Center, Yenagwa, covering the 3 senatorial districts, stable, cost-effective, and safe alternative to liquid oxygen can now be generated on site and on demand to save lives.
This project is on now. I know that by God's grace, we will not have deaths because of hypoxia.
The plant carries a warranty period of 5 years maintenance. And apart from the PSA plants, also donated is the generator.
We thank the Honorable Commissioner for Health for being a pioneer in pressuring the Federal Ministry of Health and of course our partners in providing this for our people.
We affirm the dedication of the Ministry of Health under the Assured Prosperity Agenda to continue to do well within our powers to build a resilient and robust healthcare system.
I thank the Global Fund for this initiative.
The partnership between global funds, the federal and Bayelsa State government is also providing technical training for personnel that will man the facilities. Alternative sources of power generation are also considered for the sustenance of the project. Ebini Zitimiola, NTA News.
And away from health, for years, air travelers in Nigeria have complained about delayed flights, unresolved grievances, and slow regulatory processes. The Civil Aviation Authority now says it is ready to change to a new narrative with the launch of its first Semicom integrated service charter. But how much difference will this make for passengers and operators? Correspondent Dennis Temple reports.
Today, the struggle is over as we launch our first integrated service charter.
Flight delays and poor service are just some of the headaches Nigerian air travelers face almost every day. And for many passengers, their complaints often go unanswered, but that may be changing. The Civil Aviation Authority says it is taking steps to turn things around. Speaking at the unveiling of the NCAA Integrated Service Charter 2025, a representative of the Director General explained that this isn't just about launching another document. It is a real commitment to doing better.
This charter stands as a clear statement of our service standards. Today, we take an opportunity, an important step forward in our ongoing mission to ensure transparency, accountability, and excellence in the services we deliver.
NCA has been lagging in the annual Servicon assessment of NDs, that it had a cumulative score of 17% in 2022. This was indeed abysmal and embarrassing. However, the story is different today.
To the Servicom office, this is a major milestone for Nigeria's aviation sector.
This was a very long journey. I remember when we started advocating for this document, one of the things we always hear is that we are guided by international standards.
ICAO, ISO. But one thing I know about international standard is that if you are talking about quality management system, the overriding consideration for service delivery is customer satisfaction.
Some stakeholders at the launch emphasized that the move is long overdue. They believe it could help reduce delays, cut through bureaucracy, and restore passengers' trust in the system.
It's something great to see that even after all these courses that they have had to go through, they were able to meet up and come out with this wonderful service charter. When I went through the charter, it spells of everything. It touches every area, and it actually dignifies what it is that we Nigerians need and what we should always go about doing.
Servicom was set up in 2004 to drive better service delivery across government agencies and ensure that the public gets the quality service it deserves. In Abuja, Dennis Temple, NTA News.
And to politics now, the North Central Renaissance Movement has lamented the zoning of the 2027 presidential ticket to the South amidst sustained agitations by the North Central Zone for the ticket come 2027 general elections. Chairperson of the movement, Professor Kitsu Ngagbu, said none of the 6 geopolitical zones has suffered serial denial of the presidential ticket since independence like the North Central Zone. He appealed to other major political parties to consider the zone as it has huge leadership potential capable of transforming the nation's socio-political landscape for the better.
To hold the country together. And that bridge builder is a zone, the central part of this country, that is hosting all others in its geography. That bridge builder is a competent hand that can serve at the presidential level. North Central Geopolitical Zone is the referee for 2027 general elections.
The North Central Geopolitical Zone comprises Nasarawa, Niger, Benue, Kwara, Kogi, Plateau, and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Kogi State Governor Ahmed Usman Ododo has reaffirmed his commitment to tireless service and collective progress as the state marks its 34th anniversary. In his anniversary message, the governor described the milestone as both a celebration and a moment of sober reflection on the journey so far. The governor recalled that since its creation in 1991, Kogi State has weathered challenges and recorded triumphs, forging an identity built on resilience, diversity, and boundless potential. He says the state is now experiencing massive transformation with ongoing road projects, remodeled schools, revitalized hospitals, and rural development initiatives. Governor Ododo outlined his vision of a Kogi where every child has access to quality education. Healthcare is within the reach of all. Industries thrive, and agriculture guarantees prosperity for the people, and urged citizens to partner with government in building the state of their dreams, stressing that progress requires the commitment of all. He called on the people to renew their pledge to unity, peace, and hard work as the state steps into another year of its existence. Following recorded incidences of flash flood in some local government areas, Yobe State Emergency Management Agency has activated a comprehensive and multi-dimensional preparedness plan to protect communities in high-risk areas from the devastating impacts of seasonal flooding. This is part of to address the challenges.
The 2025 Seasonal Flood Outlook and Prediction by NIMET and NEHISA are becoming realities, as many communities across the country have already been impacted or are at risk of the effects of flooding. In Yobe State alone, flash flood recently displaced 12,470 persons in 21 settlements in Potoskum town, with many more communities at risk of displacement across the state. Therefore, This press conference by the State Emergency Management Agency themed Strengthening Emergency Response and Building Community Resilience unveils a comprehensive preparedness action plan for implementation.
I therefore urge every stakeholder to align their interventions with the state contingency plan so that together we maximize impact, avoid duplication, and deliver swift life-saving assistance.
Latest data released by the State Humanitarian Agency showed that from the onset of the rainy season to date, 4,521 households were affected by either windstorms or heavy rainfall, with 7 fatalities recorded in the Matru. Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
And from Delta State, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has reiterated his administration's commitment to collaborate with the federal government to revive the Warri, Koko, Sapele, and Burutu ports. The governor made the commitment when he received on a courtesy visit the board of directors of the Nigerian Ports Authority (NPA), led by its chairman, Senator Adedayo Adeyeye.
The economic importance of the Warri, Koko, and Sapele ports for Delta State and the country cannot be overemphasized. Hence, the determination by Governor Sheriff Oborevwori to revamp it, as Delta is one of Nigeria's maritime hubs. The governor hinted that the revitalization of the ports will create jobs, attract investments, and also boost national revenue.
My administration is committed to working with the federal authorities to restore and improve all the ports in Delta State. Because outside the Warri and Koko port, we still have 2 ports, which is Burutu and Sapele, making 4 ports that we have. These ports are already existing ports. So it's also good where the federal government invests more on existing ports than even building new ones.
Leader of the NPA team, Senator Adeleye, pledged the board's readiness to work closely with the Delta State government to revive the port in the state and enhance their contributions to Nigeria's maritime economy.
Delta ports currently contribute about 10.7% to national trade volumes, which is quite impressive. However, there is still need for improvement, which underscores the need for further collaboration with the state government. We recognize that there are challenges with the operations of the ports, particularly the collapsed breakwaters and escargots and channel dredging, in respect of which the Nigerian Ports Authority undertook some palliative works.
In Asaba, Susan Isu, NTA News.
Let's now join our foreign desk for latest happenings in the foreign scene.
Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and 4 key opposition leaders have signed an agreement concerning the upcoming elections in Somalia. The finalized agreement outlines the framework for the country's electoral process. This follows the adoption of a new electoral law by Parliament in October 2024, which establishes universal suffrage for the 2026 elections. While this reform is seen as a progressive step forward, it has faced considerable backlash from opposition members who are committed to the existing indirect clan-based system. President Mohamud expressed optimism, stating the doors to state reconstruction are now open after 2 months of intense discussions that led to these agreements. Key elements of the agreement include the election of President of Parliament, while members of Parliament will be elected through a system of universal suffrage. Additionally, political parties that secure at least 10% of the parliamentary seats will gain official recognition. Crucially, all political actors have pledged to work towards the transition to a one-person, one-vote electoral system. However, this agreement has also exposed divisions within the opposition. Despite this victory for President Mohamud, he may face ongoing challenges from a fragmented opposition. From former President Sharif Sheikh Ahmed, who argues that Somalia's current security situation does not support such significant electoral reforms.
And that concludes the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I am Stella Inameti.